All right, Jake. I think we should get to the elephant in the room immediately. Immediately. We came into this Will Warren outing. I think we both knew that he flat out cannot pitch on the road. And this isn't literally. He can, and he's done it once or twice before, but overall averaged out, Will Warren's just not the same pitcher outside of Yankee Stadium, and you saw that today against a quality team. And regardless of whether or not Roman Anthony was a part of this series or not, I know we talked about how it's really changed the feeling of the series. The Red Sox are still a good enough team to make Will Warren, who oftentimes on the road doesn't show up ready to play in the first inning. You saw that. They got after him right away. He was tagged. Jake, you were just going off pre-show. You were not happy with that, and I can't blame you. I know we didn't expect this win. I get that. You got to show up ready to play, and thought he did a nice job, albeit staying in the game. You know, obviously you saw what he did, innings 2 through 5, but your job is the average of what you did, and equaling out to 5 innings pitched, 10 hits, Jake. They tagged him up pretty hard, 6 earned runs with Garrett Crochet on the other side. And you mentioned that you thought Yankees hitters at least did a nice job of fighting back. I agree. Felt like we were out of the game right away. A lot of people turned it off. I know I did for a few innings there. The Yankees hitters, though, overall, struck out 16 times, 12 of which came off the hand of Crochet. It's not a surprise, even despite all the platoon jobs that we put out there, right? Rosario, you name it. We tried. The Yankees lose 6-4, but all that mattered now was Toronto. We needed to see what the Jays were going to do because we need some help to get back into this. What would they do in the finale with Baltimore? 11-2 Jays. I'm sure probably most of you saw the results. We are now 4 games back, and the Yankees can't just catch them. They have to pass them. Jake, you mentioned this a couple days ago. We don't have that tiebreaker, and they earn that right by beating us. And so with 13 games left in the season, it is physically possible, right? But you have to imagine now that the odds aren't particularly high. And by the way, guys, if you're just joining us at Yankees Unloaded, please be sure to subscribe and like this video. Helps this channel out a lot. And guys, right now, I'm not sure the temperament in the room. I have no idea. I'm going to be reading the chat, of course, just like always. But Jake, we wanted 2 of 3. Obviously, we wanted the whole thing, right? You want the whole cake. But this game had a loss written all over it. But now that the Jays have won, do you feel like the Jays might be just taking this division and the Yankees have dug themselves too big of a hole? What's your feeling now? Because I know the weaker schedule is coming up.
No, I think the Yankees are in a good spot here. I understand tonight was frustrating, but I already had them losing. It was frustrating only because the Red Sox only scored in the first inning and they were absolutely dog shit offensively afterwards.
Yep.
So, that is what is frustrating to me. But when you go into a game expecting to lose, yeah, okay, you want to win, and especially when your team gives you some effort. I mean, Rosario, we literally had them talk about Rosario in the comment section. Boom, there you go, with the home run to get us started. And then, Judge and Caballero, and, it was frustrating that they punched back, and you like that. But the fact that the Red Sox didn't have anything after the first inning, it's like losing a game like that, you almost come away thinking, man, we actually outplayed them, if in a sense, because you take away the first inning.
We didn't need him to dominate that first inning. But man, you give up 6 runs. If that was 3, we're probably looking at a 3-3 game. And I get it, right? If you just pull runs off the scoreboard, we know how sports work. Once something's done, it's final. But to give up 6 runs, it just changed the entire complexion of this game. And Boston knows they're struggling, so it almost was the monkey off their back. Getting those 6 runs across the board, you mentioned it, they were pretty lackluster offensively the rest of the way they were. And it would have been a totally different feeling to this game. It feels like we were robbed of something. But I guess regardless of that, Jake, we're happy about the 2 of 3. This was the game we expected to lose. But are you not worried at all that... So you genuinely believe we're just going to go into Chicago, right? We're going to sweep these teams. We're going to play the Minnesotas. We're going to dominate them, at least win the series. When you play Minnesota, do you anticipate some type of collapse from Toronto against better competition?
Yeah, so I have Toronto's schedule in front of me. It is going to be interesting because they are catching Tampa at literally the best time to catch them. They're not playing well.
Right.
That said, they're in Tampa, and Tampa's been a better team at home. So I actually do think that Tampa has the advantage there, if you will. And, really, Tampa's issue is that they were struggling on that road trip. They did not like Chicago. Chicago did not treat them well. The White Sox and the Cubs both had their way with them. But
right.
No, this is a good home team. And so I think they're going to come ready to play, and they're still in it, albeit very unlikely that they're going to make it. But, they're still fighting for something. And so also you're trying to play spoiler. It's a division rival. So they have Tampa, and then they have Kansas City, and that's another team that's trying to fight and get into the playoffs. So these are two teams that we're talking about here that are trying to scratch and claw their way into the playoffs. Doesn't mean that, they're likely to get in, but they're playing for something, and they're at home. Then Toronto finishes their year with Boston and Tampa. I don't think, at first glance, I don't think it's as tough as I initially did, and they've been playing really good baseball. But man, I'll tell you though, I feel like it's going to work out in the Yankees' favor. I do. I think that Boston series is a trap for Toronto. I don't care that they'll be in Toronto. I think Boston knows those 3 games, like later in September. I mean, they're going to be huge. They could be make or break Boston. I mean, we're talking that series. Boston could drop out of the playoffs. I mean,
they also could be. There's no guarantee how the Yankees are going to play. It could also be jumping you into home field. Right?
Exactly.
I know Alex Cora said yesterday, I don't want to talk about that. I get that. He doesn't want to count his money, while he's sitting at the table. I get that. But having said this, I see there's been a big narrative about Baltimore. And mind you, I don't subscribe to this at all. I don't. People say, oh, the Baltimore's just tanking these games because they're just screwing the Yankees. No. Baltimore doesn't give a rat's ass about us. They just don't. I'm here to tell you guys right now, because guess who else is in their division? Toronto.
Yeah.
Why would they like them more than us? They don't care. They don't. They expected to be competitive this year. They've won 69 games, guys. So when you look at Baltimore, and I was sitting here thinking, and by the way, credit to the Toronto Blue Jays, because this is just a job well done. These are games they have to win. And Jake, part of our prediction that the Yankees were really going to make this a tight race, the Jays have to help out. In order to go out there and run this team down, Toronto's got to lose baseball games. Well, they have won 87 games, ladies and gentlemen. If they go out there and take care of business themselves, we don't have a shot. It doesn't matter if you're playing Chicago. It doesn't matter if you're playing Minnesota. None of those things are factors so long as they continue to win games. Is it pressure? Yes. But that pressure is a lot of the reason why people say, oh, I can see them surrendering this division lead. So it'll be interesting. I think the most interesting series the rest of the way is clearly that Boston series with Toronto. That is going to be must-see TV. And I do see a lot of people saying, I would like to play this Boston team. Obviously, we'd rather play them at Yankee Stadium, and there are most of these teams in this division, you want to play them at home. When you look up at Toronto, Toronto's 50-25. They are absolute dynamos in Toronto. You don't want to see them there. So this is the value in winning your division. It's not just for nothing, and if you get out the wild card, all things are even now. No, you're showing up and you're going on the road. So tough road ahead. I just don't subscribe, Jake. I don't know how you feel about it. I know you kind of you went in there a little bit. Do you think Baltimore at all? Because they've won 6 of their last 10 games. They just showed up and got swept in Toronto. So yeah, I don't buy that Toronto. Obviously Baltimore just walked in and said, "No, let's screw the Yankees and lose ourselves some ball games." I don't see it.
I mean, Baltimore's going to give the Yankees everything they got. It's the end of the season. You want to end it on a high note, and you want to play spoiler, and you hate your division rivals. I mean, Minnesota's going to try. There's not a team that they face that's just going to mail it in. So the Yankees, albeit while it's the easier part of their schedule, they're still facing a bunch of teams with nothing to lose and everything to gain. and that includes like moral victory. So, they're still going to go out there. Chicago's still going to try. The Yankees, I mean, it's 13 games. I think the magic number's at 9 now.
That is correct, I believe. I believe yesterday I saw I was at 9.
That's without help, of course. That's just
without
like
help.
If the Yankees, if everything stayed the same, every team won and everything, the Yankees won 9, the Yankees would clinch. But if the Yankees have help and win games, that obviously goes down.
Have to have it. You just have to.
Yeah. No, exactly. So I don't know. I looked at like today and I saw a team that still is ready to fight. And let's predict, because we talked about, so they ended up going 7-5 in the gauntlet. And
that is correct.
I saw somebody said we both had 8-4. I don't believe that. I think I had 9-3. So I'm just going to admit, I think I was off one than you're giving me credit for.
Because you did have the sweep on Boston. So I think that's what got you. And I know you thought, I think we both expected a better performance at home against Detroit. Not seeing Tarek Skubal, that was a huge letdown series.
Well, no, I didn't have the sweep on Boston. I had the sweep on, who did I have him on?
You didn't have a sweeping Boston?
No, it was
No, because you had Crochet. Yeah, you had us winning games 1 and 2, losing game 3.
No, I had Toronto. Okay, so I had Toronto. That's what it was.
Okay.
No, I had Toronto and Houston. I thought they would go back-to-back sweeps.
Okay, I see.
So that would make sense. 9-3. 9-3. The only losses being against Boston, Detroit, and no, that feels off. No, it was. I had them
watching
winning.
Jake do math.
Hey, now,
not it.
No, I had Houston. Them winning 2 against Houston, sweeping Toronto, winning 2 against Detroit, and winning 2 against Boston. That's what I had.
Yeah, the Detroit series was a huge letdown. We just laid an egg. And when you go to the end of the season, you say, well, what really undid that run? Well, when you go to Houston, you do what you did. Well, that Detroit series, you don't see Tarek Skubal, you see Casey Mize, and you lose those first 2 games. What a letdown that was. And I know we talked about game 3 almost propelling the next series, and it did. It certainly did. Against Boston, it gave us some momentum. But man, to drop 2 of those games to Detroit, it stinks. It does. And Toronto, if they go out here and win 95 games, you're not winning the division. You're not. Because if they get to that point, they've earned it. And the Yankees aren't a good enough team. They're okay. I would call them good. But to say that they're just going to win out or just completely dominate the rest of the field, this is baseball. It's much more difficult to predict than you think. And if Toronto goes out there and plays what would be some of their best baseball all year in mid to late September, you're not winning that division. So obviously I'll tip my cap to what they're doing. And the Yankees are playing much better baseball of late. We can't sugarcoat that. But this is your consequence for playing meaningless baseball and struggling during the meaningless time of the year. This is your punishment, is that you have to play perfect and the other team has to give you help. So just in case anyone goes into baseball seasons and thinks, oh, we always have plenty of time to get it figured out, that is technically true. The problem that you run into is that things now start bouncing out of your control and people start asking, what's Baltimore doing? How's Boston going to play? What's Roman Anthony doing? All these different factors, when if you could just win games during the summer and we didn't have to worry about June swoons, we didn't have to worry about July or even early August, Jake, we're probably not in this position right now.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I had them winning 95 games because when I predicted it. So they would have to win every game except for 1. I don't see that, but I do think let's see, there's 13 games left. I'm going to say they go 10-3. So that would put them at 93 wins.
Yeah, so they're going to go a little north of what I said. I said they were an 88-win team. Now, this is obviously before all of the bringing in Bednar, right? But at the same time, I didn't think our bullpen was going to be this big of an issue when I made that prediction. Having said that, I mean, they would have to go, what, 5-8 for that to happen? If they go 5-8 against the remaining schedule, we're probably looking at going on the road for a wild card, and they would deserve that. So
Yes,
we would have to
definitely.
imagine 92 wins for the Yankees, roughly. 92, 93 wins. And that's a solid season. It's not great. And certainly when you look in baseball's history, winning 92, 93 games isn't exactly the same thing as it used to be, right? Not every team is trying in this league. It seems like we've got a lot of bottom feeders, right? Minnesota giving up. You see the Chicago White Sox giving up. There weren't really, like the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, you used to go play them, and they're not really trying. But in today's game, there's like 5 or 6, 7 different teams that aren't trying a lick. So I feel like those wins are a little skewed. But guys, the Yankees are going to have to play perfect baseball against bad baseball teams. Toronto's going to have to help us out. So, Jake, I guess this is where I wanted to move it before we get to our supers. And again, guys, thank you. Thank you for donating to this channel. It really helps support us in a major way. So thank you for doing so. And make sure you guys like this video and subscribe. I want to move this to Will Warren because you brought this up 2 or 3 days ago, and we were trying to tee up what it was going to look like going into October. Now, Matt Blake was asked before today's game, he said, well, what do you anticipate, right, for Warren and Schlittler, and how's this all going to break out at the back end of your rotation? And more so, the question was asking, what are we going to see in October when it all matters most? Who are you going to trust? So which way are you going to go? Now, he didn't commit to any one thing, but he did say they're going to have roles. So it sounded a lot like he's trying to keep us at arm's length, and he's like, no, I'm not going to give you a deep dive into how we're going to deploy him. But now that we know Will Warren really isn't to be trusted on the road against contenders, do you shift him into the bullpen? Because there's just too many factors at play with what makes him successful, or do you just leave Will Warren in your rotation and start him if that start happens to be at Yankee Stadium?
Are you talking about the postseason or just in general?
I'm strictly talking postseason.
Oh, he's nowhere near the starting mound. He's no. Heels
Now,
ahead
mind
of him.
you, I'm not arguing for
Schlittler's
it. I
ahead
just
of him.
wanted to tee you up.
Yeah, no. It's not even close. And I really like Will Warren. I don't even know if I pitch Will Warren out of the bullpen on the road. Like I would strictly use him at home. Gary, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, for whatever reason, dude needs his Yankee audience around him, or he's, I don't know, a wet blanket. I don't know.
He's a potato.
He's a potato. Just straight diarrhea down the leg. That's what we saw today. No, but my biggest thing, Gary, is we had this conversation about Rodon. We were being critical about Rodon. It's like, yeah, is that a good start if he gives up, 5, or he gives up 3 runs, or I think it was 3 runs. We're like, is that a good start if he gives up 3 runs in the first inning? Actually, it might have been 4.
But regardless, you give up the majority of your runs in the first inning, and then you shut it down the rest of the way. Is it a dynamos? Is it going to be a start where we go, well, it still was pretty good, all things considered?
In the past, I would have said yes. And then I saw Max Fried this year, who turns those type of starts into 1 or 2 runs. He gets out of those without, you can't have those blow-up starts to a game. They're pathetic. Because baseball has so much momentum in the game. It's not just the momentum that you have from game to game. It's inside the game. And so when you're sitting there, you're on the bench, you're waiting to hit, you get up, you're on the road, for instance, right? You just hit, all right, that sucked, on to the next inning. And you go out to the field, and it's just every ball is a rocket ship. And you're like, then now going up to the plate in the second inning when you thought, all right, we'll just get him in the second inning, now it's already 6-0.
No, the game
over.
The game. That's Andrew Luck mode. We're down 24-0 in the first quarter. Hey, I threw for 390 today. Glad I'm on your fantasy team. It's like, well, good for me, but your job is to be adequate in innings 1 through whatever the hell you end up pitching. That's your job. Now, you're not hired to be perfect. I want to make that perfectly clear. Will Warren is Will Warren. We're both high on Will Warren as an overall asset long-term for the Yankees. That doesn't mean an ace, a 1, a 2, a 3. This could mean a good 4, right? 2 years from now, someone we can rely on at the back end of your rotation. Now, I would answer this question as, and mind you, Matt Blake was the one who was asked this question. I'd say, well, yeah, Will Warren will have a role of some sort. I just lie. But at the same time, Will Warren cannot be anywhere near a mound in October. Can't. And I think you can say there's value in someone like Will Warren, obviously, because he's been stretched out as a starting pitcher, where he could be value in the same way that a Ryan Yarbrough could be valuable. Not in terms of run prevention, but we need an arm to be able to go out there. Maybe we're down 2 or 3. He's quality enough to keep us in the game, right? He has that skill set. It's possible. But he also can go length. We don't have to burn 6 different arms and ruin the rest of our run in throwing young players out there. So I think that's Will Warren's role. Similar to what people were talking about, of maybe is Marcus Stroman the type of guy that we can just throw in the bullpen and garbage time, or maybe we find ourselves down 3-0 in the first inning and we don't like the way someone's thrown 40 pitches. Go get Will Warren up and see if he can get something going to save this game. But if the Yankees are serious about winning in October, if Will Warren is slated to start games in 2025, and mind you guys, I said 2025, 2 years down the road, he could be a different arm. He could progress into something unique. But right now, those answers, it is going to be Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, and Heel. And it's all a matter of whether or not the Yankees want to go 3-man or 4-man. I think that's the better question for the Yankees, is how many of those guys are you willing to pitch?
I saw Joey Cargo say we're being a little too harsh on Warren. Not us, but just in general, right? We're being.
Really?
And then I saw our trusty friend Scott Ross hitting us with the ERA over 7 against playoff teams. I mean, I like Will Warren. And again, I like the homegrown talent, right? So I like him. But I also realize how important it is to be consistent. That's a big issue in this league. And if you can't pitch on the road, I don't really have much to say to you. You know?
What does it mean that we're being hard on a player? Mind you, do we have to agree that he should be pitching in October? Is that where we have to go with it for people to say, oh, they're not being that hard on Will Warren? We've spent hours, and hours. We run a 2-hour podcast every single night, every time. And there have been a lot of starts where Will Warren will go out there and strike out 10. The next outing, we're sitting there trying to predict what he'll do. We said, I think we're going double digits again. Seems odd to say that about someone you don't like. So again, I think podcasting, it gets a little polarizing where people are like, oh, if you have anything critical to say, you just must not like them. No, Will Warren is a good arm, but he's not good enough at this stage of his career to be trusted on the stage that is going to be available to him in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's the real question at hand. Is he developed enough where you can toss him the baseball rather than turning over your rotation to your ace? Would you rather throw a Max Fried on maybe a day shorter rest, or do you want to go Will Warren before that turnover? I think the answer is honestly pretty obvious. And thank God for Cam Schlittler. If he wasn't here, I couldn't imagine. I would honestly feel like the Yankees would be teed up for another Davai Garcia start, where the start could work on a technical angle, but probability is that it would blow up in our face.
Yeah, and then Joey is clarifying that people in the chat are calling him Marcus Stroman and that he will be nothing more than a back end of the rotation pitcher. I mean, that's a terrible comparison because Marcus Stroman couldn't strike anybody out, and Will Warren has 160 strikeouts, right?
I can see him being Marcus Stroman when Marcus Stroman was in his
But he
heyday,
never struck
I guess,
out guys like this.
Of course not. I think more so it's about roles, not about style.
I get what
I
you're
think that's
saying.
more what it's about. Marcus Stroman was on this team to plug and play in the 5 spot, just be productive enough during the 162 regular season ball. But once we shrink things down, and just like the NBA, where 12 players play in the regular season, and they'll take Anthony Davis right off the court and throw in some jabroni you hardly heard of. But what happens in the playoffs? Those rotations start to shrink, and those guys who are playing 12, 15 minutes, yeah, they're sitting down next to coach. They don't play. That is what Will Warren is. Will Warren is a good pitcher. I don't want to make it seem like he's not a good arm in this league, but not good enough to now, when we shrink this rotation, you're not going to be part of that exclusive list. And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean you suck at the game. It just means that Cam Schlittler, Heel, Rodon, Fried, they're better. And that's a good, it's not a problem. It's a solution. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. And I mean, Will Warren, for the record, on the road, by the way, road and home right now currently are exactly split, which we love for splits. 15-15. So at home, he's thrown 82 and a third innings pitched. Gary, he's thrown 64 and 2/3 on the road. That's a huge disparity.
Yes, it is.
In addition to that, he's given up fewer hits, despite the fact that he has almost 20 more innings pitched at home. Yep. Fewer hits, fewer runs, 2 more home runs, and then 5 more walks, has 20 more strikeouts, and offensive batting average against him is 213, whereas on the road it's 280. He's given up 73 hits and 64 and 2/3, 45 runs, 39 earned, 8 home runs, 28 walks, and only 69 strikeouts. Will Warren feels the pressure. Like, there's no doubt about it. On the road. That said, I think Will Warren's still a really good pitcher. But if you're looking for who I can trust in the postseason, well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm going to need you to pitch on the road. And if I know you can't do that, well, I'll find somebody else who can. Guess what? Everybody on this team can do it. There's only one guy that we're talking about road splits in that rotation, and that is Will Warren. And that is why I would not pitch him unless it's at home and out of the bullpen.
Yep, no doubt. And we
in
definitely
the postseason, not now.
We have some Rams fans in the building, I would assume, have with the 10 says Super Bowl.
I don't know what the hell's going on with StreamYard, because that was from my live stream earlier. So
so StreamYard's just dumb.
A jabroni, yes.
So I would assume Brian is the first super chat with the 2. Brian, we really appreciate
Rams.
you. Sid told you he was going to shit the bed. I mean, this is true, Brian. There's no doubt about it. You were on it, but so was Jake. So was I. So was the other 500 people in the comment section. Everyone assumed that I didn't expect Will Warren to get exploded in the first inning, but did I expect him to give up runs early, 2 or 3? And you're like, oh, that's a tough start. He's off the mound, maybe the 3rd or 4th. Yeah, that was my expectation, and I think he actually exceeded my expectations after the first inning. But again, guys, the game's not just played in the first inning. They play 9 of them. So part of the job is to be good the whole time you're out there. He unfortunately wasn't good enough the entire time. So it was unfortunate. The Yankees did do enough offensively to be in the game. I think our predictions were 3-2, 2-1. It's going to have to be one of those games. And it felt like it would have been if we could just absolve ourselves from what happened right there in the first. And David L. with the $5 most random super, $5.48 super. Thank you, David. Really appreciate it. Said, suspected it was over top first. Knew it 12 pitches in the bottom. At least Warren stayed in. I completely agree. There's some value to that. So obviously we'll thank Warren, but not too much for what he did. I was expecting 20 Ks from Crochet. Obviously we did get 12, I believe it was. And the Jays win the AL East. Did we make any predictions as far as where Toronto's record was going to be the rest of the way? Because I presume they have the exact same amount of games remaining, or is it something less? Do you know exactly what it is?
I think it is exactly the same amount of games because they played today. So, yeah, I think it's 13. I think everybody has 13 because everybody played today. Yeah, I do think the Yankees are going to win the division. I think Toronto's going to collapse, but I could be wrong. They look really good right now, but I just have this feeling. I've had it for a while. You know that.
Yeah.
I think Toronto's going to collapse. I think they're going to feel the pressure. The Yankees, I mean, yeah, they lost today, but they haven't been losing. It's just, that pressure is mounting. I mean, let's not look at the Orioles who haven't been that great this year. as a reason. Like, oh well, no, Toronto. Last time Toronto played a great team, they got swept. So
how long is that series with Toronto and Boston?
3 games.
It is 3 games. You're obviously, if you look at that series, if you project that Toronto is, a lot of people are like, yeah, the Yankees are going to beat up on Chicago and Minnesota. Okay, well, if that's true, Toronto really can't lose hardly anything other than we're going to go into the last 3 or 4 games of the season and they're going to say we've got to win 2 or 3 of these. There is pressure. Now, will I predict the Yankees to win the division? No. I will not make the prediction that a team with 80 that is 87 and 62 is going to, I don't even know if I would call it a collapse, because the team that's running them down in the New York Yankees is basically playing a bunch of little league teams. So they should be winning at a high clip, like a 90% rate the rest of the season. Now that means we've got to go at least somewhere near that. And that presents pressure. So I won't predict the Yankees to win this division. I just won't. But I am placing a major priority. If they're not going to win this division, you need to be at Yankee Stadium for that wild card. It's an absolute must. If we're on the road, we're not winning anything. Honestly, it's not even a contest. So you guys have to find a way to be at home. And of course, if we can win this division, I'm sure our audience would be pretty thrilled with that. So David, again, thank you for the super. And Scotty Boy 26 with a 5 says, not a fan of Dominguez, but starting Slater was madness. Jake, I think actually you brought up the concept of Slater playing. I didn't have too much of a problem with it. He is a lower level bench piece at best. And for me, we're not catching the Jays. So again, guys, we're not trying to convince you that they are going to. Jake, I did bring up the concept though yesterday that sometimes just because a player has a strength, he's still too far down your bench to play in September. Now, for Slater, on the other hand, I just think with the matchup of Crochet, it didn't really make any sense to put a Jason Dominguez out there right-handed. I don't think that would have worked at all. What was your perspective on this? Do you think this was the right play from Boone?
Oh, it was 100% the right play. This is one of those things where I don't care about what the result ended up being. This was the right play going in. The only way you have a chance to beat Crochet is you essentially have to platoon the shit out of him.
Yep.
You know, and sorry, but they got Slater because he's a platoon bat. That's the reason why they got him. Simply put, wasn't good today, right? But you know who was? Rosario, who they also platooned today. We knew this. We've been calling this Rosario play. Like you and I talked about this on like Thursday. We're like,
if Rosario didn't play today. Like, if Rosario played today, which he did, and was 0 for 4 with 4 punchies, they'd have been like, why the hell did we play Rosario? It's like, well, that's not how this all works.
No.
Slater
gets like one game a week.
Right, and
he's fine.
He is.
I'm not worried about him. I mean, would you rather have him or Duke Ellis? Because that's what it was last year, right? So,
or Jason Dominguez right-handed. Jason Dominguez right-handed against Crochet is probably something much worse than the at-bats you saw with Slater.
I completely agree.
I don't think a lot of people are willing to admit that, and maybe they are, so I'll give them the credit in hindsight, but it's always easy to say, oh, we could have just went with this other guy on the bench, but Jason Dominguez, over the course of the long term against left-handed arms, has really struggled, especially top flight. Has he been a complete buster? No. And we've seen his 3-homer day, he hit a homer right-handed. But Jake, against Garrett Crochet, that's not a good matchup. And obviously, if he's not going to be valuable offensively with the matchup offensively, why in the world would you put Jason Dominguez out there with his defense if he's not going to hit that day? I just think that's a major mistake. So, Scotty Boy, where we disagree is about Dominguez, or about Slater per se. I'd be curious though what option Scotty Boy, because he said he's not a fan of Dominguez. So I'd be curious to know if Slater wasn't the guy for the job, which direction we would have gone. Would be curious to see. But anywho, Apex with the 2 says Yarby, Fried, and Rodon versus Toronto. Other 3 get killed.
By the way, I also want to say this. I'm not really worried, even if, and I do still think Toronto's going to go 6-7 and the Yankees are going to go 10-3, which would win them the division.
Love that.
But here's the deal, right? I think that even if the Yankees get the wild card, they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's overblown.
Just home field.
Yeah. Home field doesn't really matter when you're one of the best road teams in baseball.
Which our road record, for those of you who are curious, is 39-35. That's against teams over 500 or not, overall. Toronto's, on the other hand, is 500. They are playing 37-37 baseball. Still solid. 500 baseball is a solid baseball team on the road. You'd obviously much rather be better, but the only team that's really dynamite on the road is Milwaukee. Yeah. Every other team, you look in the NL West, every single team in that division is below 500 on the road, except for the Giants, who are 500. And then you go into the Brewers, they are way above 500. The Cubs are. So, it is literally upper echelon. You're talking 3 or 4 teams in the sport. The rest of them are going to struggle. So the Yankees, I would agree with you as far as the wild card goes. You can't slide. If we slid down into a position where all of a sudden we got to go to Fenway for a wild card, that's just silly to me. There's no reason to make it happen. And if you get to that point, you're obviously not playing your best baseball leading into October. We probably can predict you to lose. So you said we're going to go 10-3 the rest of the way.
And actually,
that's about realistic.
Scratch that. I think they're going to go 11-2.
Oh, so absolute demolition, which is possible. Who do we play exactly? Looking at this, Chicago, Minnesota?
Yeah. I think they're going to sweep Chicago. I do.
Okay.
I think they're going to sweep Minnesota. I think they're going to sweep the ending series against the Orioles, right? That's at the stadium. But when they're in Baltimore, I have them splitting the series 2-2.
I see.
Because they don't really play particularly well in Baltimore.
And you said we play Minnesota for 3, correct?
Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be stoked. Like, I understand this loss sucks, but I don't think they're looking at it like that.
No, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
This is more so a story of that Toronto is taking it. So that's how I'm taking the news right there. So obviously, Apex, we really appreciate it. Scott Ross with the 2, and you mentioned this already, Will Warren, so we read that. And Guy with the 2. Thank you, guys. Says 5 outs in first, Slater drop in, and Stanton no catch. What?
I think people thought Slater was supposed to...
supposed to catch a ball in the first inning?
I know people are getting on Stanton. I don't know. I don't really care that much. Will Warren was garbage. I'm not going to make any excuses for Will Warren.
This is why they pay the big bucks for starting pitching, is that your pitching can get you out of a game right away. Doesn't matter who you're playing and how they're playing. Doesn't matter. When somebody goes out there, I don't know, guys, you're playing in the NFL, you give up 3 touchdowns in the first, and you're shut down the rest of the way. It changes the way the whole rest of the game's played. Watch football.
By the way, they don't play. They don't see Ryan at all in the Minnesota series. I forgot to mention that to you.
Well, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge development. But, I mean, we saw what it did missing Crochet. But, I mean, not Crochet, but Skubal. But that's also Detroit and not Minnesota. So,
well, you got
I guess
Rodon,
there's 2 ways to
Schlittler,
look
and
at this.
Heel in Minnesota.
Seems pretty ideal.
Yeah.
No Warren on the road. Do we see Warren on the road again?
Yeah.
Who does he face?
All right. I'm going to go through this right now and tell you the games that the Yankees are going to win. And they're going to lose. All right.
Yep.
So they're winning tomorrow night. I don't care what anyone says. Rodon in Minnesota against Woods Richardson. I don't know who the hell that is.
He signed the Declaration of Independence.
Then Tuesday, Schlittler's going to beat Matthews.
Okay.
Then Wednesday, Heel is going to beat, I believe that's Taj Bradley.
Okay, Taj Bradley. I mean, we're familiar with him. He was in division with Tampa. Yeah. All right.
Then Thursday, Max Fried is going to beat Dean Kramer in Baltimore.
Okay, we've seen him plenty.
Yes. They're going to rip him apart. Friday, Will Warren is going to lose to Trevor Rogers in Baltimore. Book it.
See, this is why they say you guys hate Will Warren. no, we hate how he pitches on the road.
Yes.
It's possible to go well. He hasn't lost every game on the road this year, but when you compare the numbers up against one another, it is a completely different person. Totally different.
It's so true. And then Saturday, Rodon is going to beat Sugano. And then Sunday, I might have to change this.
Oh, God. Are you going even more lofty?
No. I'm gonna give them a loss at the stadium and have them win 3 out of 4 because I don't think Schlittler's going to lose to Kyle Bradish.
Oh, Kyle Bradish used to pitch with Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Orioles, man, they just got all sorts of... Bradish is good. I'm not saying but I just think I trust Schlittler. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a matchup. Just because you're predicting a win doesn't mean someone sucks. It's
and I have no idea who's pitching after that, like for the Orioles, for the White Sox, but I can tell you who's going to pitch for the Yankees.
Okay,
so
let's do it.
Off day, and then Tuesday at the stadium, Heel versus Shane Smith. That'll be a really good game. I'm taking, really good matchup. Still the White Sox. I'm going to take the Yankees. So they've only lost 1 game, the Will Warren start against Trevor Rogers. So then Wednesday would be Max Fried against Chicago pitcher to be named. I'll take Max Fried at the stadium. Thursday would be Will Warren. So you dodge Will Warren starting another game on the road. This is his last game starting on the road, the one on Friday. Will Warren wins that game, bounces back. Then Friday, September 26th against Baltimore, you're looking at Carlos Rodon, then Schlittler, and then Heel. So I feel really good about that. I think, I think they're going to lose 2 to Baltimore out of the 7 that they face them. But if they honestly only lose 1 game the rest of this, I won't even be shocked.
Yeah, it's not great. We're not running into great baseball teams. And by the way, guys, the team that really you have to take care of business is Baltimore. They have a couple arms in their rotation that have given us fits, but it's still, like we've seen Kramer, right? We've seen what he's done before, not in totality. He hasn't dominated us outright like Crochet has. No, Bello. This situation, you need to pay attention to it. This is no time to walk in and be like, oh, it's the Monstars versus the Nerds. No, this is not that. This is time to dominate because you couldn't dominate these teams when everyone else was. Everyone else. You showed up, opening series of the year. You beat Milwaukee. Everyone told us that, well, Milwaukee sucks. That's why. Turns out they're the best team in the league. Then the season goes on, and we're dropping games to teams that we shouldn't be losing to. And people are like, no. The Marlins deserve more credit. No, the Marlins suck. And you guys couldn't beat them. Yeah, they suck. Then you guys went and played the Rockies, and we're like, oh, this should be an easy sweep. And people are like, oh, no. Don't just go out there and write off these teams. And I said, that's not what we're going to do. We've never written off any of these teams. They're professional baseball players. You guys have to go out there in a mismatch, just like in boxing. You may be fighting someone who's, I guess, worthy opponent, maybe someone who's worthy in his own right. But if you're the superior matchup, you have to take care of business and move on to the next fight. That is the sport of boxing. Same thing in baseball. Baltimore shouldn't beat you. I don't care how they're playing. I don't care if they're playing better baseball, if Holiday is picking it up, if a couple arms are coming in hot in the series. Does not matter. You guys have to dominate. It's the only way you're going to win this division if you have any chance at all. You're not going to be able to go out there and go 7-6 the rest of the way and think that Toronto's going to go out and get swept by Boston and they're just going to help you out immensely. No, there's going to be blood, but there needs to be blood on your side as well. And guys, I do see Guy brought up the point, and I want to make sure that it was brought up to the surface. Welkin, we're definitely pro Will Warren on this show, but this is long-term Will Warren. We're aware of his faults as well as all the pros that he has. He can swing, the fastballs improve immensely, all this, but he still will give up the big inning, especially on the road. But Guy's point was that Giancarlo Stanton, there was a play that should have been made. There was no catch. And if that catch was made, it changes the game. That is technically true. Having said that, though, Jake, that's not how it works. Giancarlo Stanton was put in left field. The Yankees did that because they said, we need his bat in the lineup. We need the bat against Crochet. Now, the only way you're not going to get Giancarlo Stanton, who objectively is not a good outfielder because he's physically, he's ailing, right? And he's not injured, but he's protecting himself. Now, if you take him out of the lineup and put anybody else in there, the play is probably made, but that's just being, and some people call us that anyways, that's being a hindsight Hank. We put him in there to hide him in the easiest position defensively, which was left field. Jake, you talked about it before game one, and I agreed with you completely. Left field at Fenway is much easier than a deep right field or even center field with all the dimensions. So we accepted what could happen defensively, just the same way we accepted Jason Dominguez in left field in this series. And of course, Jason Dominguez eventually did throw out runners, but what if Jason Dominguez made a mistake that cost us a game? People would have said, well, if anybody out there comparable, they would have caught that ball. That is true, but Dominguez was out there to give Stanton rest and to go out there and bring speed to the game, and he did. So the pros to Giancarlo Stanton just didn't materialize today, and yeah, could it have been the difference? Sure, but that's in hindsight.
Yeah, and I wanted to give, Slater was getting crap, but he made a really nice diving grab in the second inning. He's a good glove, and he hits 820 plus OPS against right-handed pitch or left-hand pitching. So he's valuable. I mean, it's exactly what you were saying the other day. It's what you said when the Yankees acquired him. You want a bench with guys that are bench players because you don't want a good problem to have. We've seen what that does. And I think he's exactly what you want. He's somebody that can come in and be a spot starter for you. He checks multiple boxes as a utility guy, but he doesn't need to start, and he's not going to make it tough on you where it's like, oh crap, I have to start Austin Slater today. Like, no, Austin Slater can go 14 days in a row without playing, and you have a guy that helps you in the field. You have a guy that has a decent arm, and he can run pretty well. And then you talk about the splits. I mean, yeah, having platoon bats, I think the Yankees are going to be really scary in the postseason because of how they have equipped their bats and they've built their bench. They have guys that they can bring in. This is where Aaron Boone is going to have to be a good manager, and that's easier said than done.
Scary thing for you to say.
But Gary, you know what I mean. We talked about this. He has all the buttons in the world to push in the postseason. And when you look at this team as a team that we just talked about, aside from, I think, the Tigers, they're like the only team above 500 in the AL on the road. They have these buttons that they can push. Against left-hand pitching, the Yankees were really bad. They had a terrible record. Well, now, all of a sudden, against left-hand pitching, they have guys to combat that. And so, Caballero's playing a really good brand of baseball lately. I want to give him his due. I thought he was really key and critical today. He made a huge stop at shortstop that I don't think Volpe gets to be honest with you.
Please, he doesn't get to it on a scooter.
but no, he was huge. Rosario was huge. And I keep telling you guys, Rosario's glove, I'm not worried about it. I'm really just not worried about it because it's kind of like the whole Stanton argument, Gary. Is Stanton's bat worth just throwing him in left field for a game? Because I 100% believe it is. Rosario playing third base at Fenway is a lot different than Rosario playing third base at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
and
in hindsight, when
yesterday.
Stanton goes out there and gives you a 1-for-4 performance, it's very easy in hindsight of a loss to say, man, taking those cons that he provides, we would have rather not had him. That's in hindsight, we can all say that, right?
Yeah.
But there are quite a few starters, I'll say, starters, not the role players. The starters, there's quite a few guys where there is a con that we have to accept, no matter what, right? If you put Ben Rice behind the plate, we might frame the high strike a little bit better, bigger player, but the blocking won't be as good. The throwing will be better, but overall, not as good of a catcher as Austin Wells. There's a drawback there. If we ruin the game behind the plate, people go, oh, see, this is why Austin Wells could have been our defensive catcher today. That's true, but that's just not how sports work. You just have to live with all the pros and cons of all these guys. So then you look at Jason Dominguez. Defensively, you just accept the bad defense if he plays. He's got to hit. That's been his calling card all season long. Speed's got to be there. Contact's got to be there. He has to change the game in the lineup. So, yeah, and this is a great question, by the way, from Apex with the two who said, who should mentor Warren in the offseason?
Carlos Rodon.
Is he the new Michael King? Yeah,
I could actually talk about this. Did you remember the thing I sent you?
No, I do not remember it.
It was a while ago. Yeah, I know. It was a while ago. The Yankees Twitter account was sending stuff at the, I don't know, they were doing social media stuff for the charity event, Rodon's charity event. And they asked every single player on the Yankees, like, who was your favorite teammate? Hell, they even asked, what's his face was there? Ottavino, who was on the Yankees he had a cup of coffee and left. He was there, right? They're asking everybody their favorite teammates. And, you know, of course, I think Ben Rice brings up Escara. Like, yeah. So it was funny because they asked Cam Schlittler and he said, you know, Carlos Rodon, and like actually gave him credit for kind of taking him under his wing. Will Warren said the exact same name. So I found it really interesting. Rodon went from a guy, and we never had a chance to bring this up, so I just want to give Rodon his credit. He went from a guy that we were incredibly frustrated with. Gary has a reel on Instagram of him saying, I hate this move. I hate it. It pissed, you know, you were so mad at the beginning of the year. Of course, people still bring it up to this day, but you literally have brought it up multiple times. You're like, I don't care. I want him to do well. Like I was, but the thing here, the reason why I bring this up is because Rodon used to be a head case on the mound. He used to, as you said, drowning in a glass of water. And they got him because of the ferocity. They felt like that would help. It was kind of like going out and getting a Josh Donaldson. You have a guy that's kind of raw, can, you know, energize your clubhouse. But the problem was he was not only not energizing the clubhouse, he was really so much focused on like letting his emotions get the best of him that it was actually hurting his play. And now I made a joke about this. He's like a damn monk on the rubber. And that happens with age. I get that. But that took effort. That was like last year he was different. So I commend him for that. But then everyone just kind of assumes Garrett Cole is the mentor, which I think is funny because Garrett Cole, I still to this day believe that Garrett Cole absolutely destroyed Will Warren at Dodger Stadium. Like,
he shows up. For people don't realize, they're like, hey guys, just letting you know, Will, this is a different beast. You don't tell that to a young arm. That's just stupid.
That's why he didn't say
anyways.
Cole. He said Rodon.
Right, because he didn't really say anything that could be of use. Like that's part of being a mentor, right? You teach someone a move, right? You're going to teach them the move. They're going to bring it into play. Hey, teach him a counter. Hey, if he's going to stand on the plate, you need to throw this that runs inside. You need to give, and certainly I'm sure he is doing that. But there's a reason Rodon's name came out of his mouth. There is. And I'm glad you bring up my coverage of Rodon at the very beginning because Carlos Rodon was the type of guy where you would know exactly what you were getting 12 pitches into the outing. Immediately. Yep. You knew exactly who he was going to be. Oh, he doesn't really have his fastball. The fastball's at 93. You already know by the 5th or 6th inning, if he's still in the game, conversation's going to be on his fastball velocity, that he didn't have his stuff, that he's not comfortable on the mound. When was the last time we had that conversation about Carlos Rodon? About how hot he was, how cold he was, right? Remember, where are his sleeves? Why isn't he wearing sleeves? When was the last time we had a conversation like that? It's been a long time. And it was an effort by him. And so if Will Warren's going to be better, if Cam Schlittler's going to take the next step from what I believe right now to really be like a super 3 in our rotation into being a potential 2, a top flight 2 in this game, which is plenty to get out of your system. If that's going to happen, the mentality's got to look a lot more like what Carlos Rodon transformed into. And if he was going to be that, I'd probably love the move. I love Rodon's stuff. He's a power arm, the way Michael Kay describes him. Power. But the best thing that he did this year, the mental side of the game is much more stoic and prepared for pitching in New York, and to put the wrinkle in of a sinker and a changeup, making adjustments. It's the only way you can stay in this game. We saw it from CC Sabathia. We saw it from Masahiro Tanaka when he had the forearm strain and a partial tear of his UCL. Not the same power pitcher he was. He's still able to find ways to be effective by making adjustments and playing smarter. Rodon's done that, so that's going to be my answer. He is the mentor. There's no doubt about it, and I'm a little surprised by that. I would have thought it would be Garrett Cole because Garrett Cole's a bit of a nerd, if no one could tell. And you would think that he would just love to sit down and talk to every player about baseball, and you'd think that would be the answer, but wild to hear Rodon's name. Crazy.
I know, it was crazy hearing it back-to-back, but it's just, it goes to show you where he's come from and just, how much he's improved. And keep in mind, they said this guy couldn't pitch in New York. We kind of assumed it too. We didn't really give enough attention. His wife was on social media trying to explain, he was dealing with an injury. He came back, and there were people like, oh, that's just excuses, welcome to the Bronx, all that. Mm-hmm. And I think that was legitimate, and I think it's fair for us to say that because he really has not been the same since. And what I mean is he's never looked that bad since. He's had his moments, but, no, he's a very good pitcher. And honestly, Gary, I'm going to throw this question at you before we get into our voicemails here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Carlos Rodon the starting pitcher of the year for the New York Yankees, or is it Max Fried? It's so close. I can give you stats. It's so close.
I would probably say, man, I'm still going to lean, and I couldn't be happier and more proud of Rodon. Couldn't.
Yes.
I'm still going to say it's Max Fried. The only reason I say that is that he provided the stability. If folks remember, when we got after the break and we couldn't find our way there. We couldn't. The blister was an issue. Rodon was struggling, right? Schlittler was struggling. Everyone was struggling. The one arm who settled us in was a big Max Fried start. And honestly, it almost feels like he fell in our lap post Juan Soto, and maybe it was how they sprinkled the money around the roster. I'm just not exactly sure how he got here or why. But without his presence, I feel that having that anchor in the rotation was the most important arm we had all year. But again, could not be more proud of what Rodon's done, because you could see him give up 2 runs in the first inning, and you have to believe he's going to make an adjustment. So he's right up there neck and neck, but I'll give the slight edge to Fried. Slight.
I like it. I'm going to give it to Fried, and it's close. And I think it's really a testament to how much Rodon has worked. And you could argue there are reasons you could go with Rodon as well. It honestly is kind of preference-based. Because Rodon, here's the interesting thing. Rodon's 60-8. I'll just put it up on the screen. I think it's easier to do it that way. So here, we'll make this bigger. Don't worry. All right. So Rodon is 60-8 with a 3.11 ERA, 186 strikeouts, 107 WHIP, right?
Yep.
Now the walks are a lot higher for Rodon than Fried, but he actually has given up way fewer hits than Fried. I don't know if you're surprised by that or not.
Not surprised at all, because that WHIP is still highly serviceable. Any WHIP hovering at 1, it's what you want.
It's what you want. Yep, you're right.
He's also projected to throw 192 innings. We're looking at who's going to give us innings, and I know every time we look at guys in our rotation, we rarely see guys even flirt at the 200 inning mark. So it should go to show you guys, he's not just a 5 inning and hit the shower and go to Mastro's and get a butter cake. No, he's finding ways to stay on the field, and it's valuable to the Yankees. We don't get those innings. Our bullpen looks even worse than what you guys have seen this year.
So what I found interesting is that they have actually given up the same amount of earned runs. 61. And
where's Fried in terms of innings?
Fried is at 181 and a third.
Very similar.
So I'm telling you, these guys are almost identical. You're getting more strikeouts with Rodon. You get a better ERA with Fried, but you actually have a better WHIP with Rodon, which is a little surprising, but it goes to show you the strides he's made to improve himself. You're getting one more win. We don't really care about the wins.
Fried also probably, I haven't seen the numbers. I'd imagine he keeps the ball in the yard far more.
Yeah, so you're exactly right. 14, and I think Rodon's given up 20. Yeah, he's given up 20. So, yeah, I mean, this is incredible, though. I think the value the Yankees got out of these guys, and don't get me wrong, Rodon was supposed to be this early on in the contract. He has the injury, but now you start to look and you're like, and you don't want to look too far ahead because obviously you got the playoffs. But you start to look at next year, and I'm one of those, I'm a skeptic. I know that's surprising. A lot of people, are like, no, you're very optimistic. I am in a lot of different ways. I'm very skeptical about Cole. I'm not looking at Cole like he's a guarantee. Like, there are a lot of people that are like, Cole's our ace next year. I'm like,
it's definitely silly to assume somebody, just because players have been successful returning from Tommy John, they only talk about the success stories. They don't talk about the stories that don't work. They don't talk about how Dustin May looked before Tommy John, and he received it twice.
What about Alcantara? If you want to say, well, he's looking a lot better now, you're right. But look at how long it took him. Look at how long it took him to get back.
You didn't even want him. You didn't even want him at the deadline because he had just started to figure it out a couple of weeks before the deadline. That goes to show you guys, if he shows up, say Garrett Cole shows up in July of next year, right? Or just early on, and you're like, okay, here's Garrett Cole, and you're expecting to see maybe not Cy Young Garrett Cole, but something towing the line there. Well, what if Garrett Cole's ERA is 4.90? All of a sudden, Garrett Cole's ERA is 4.90 till August. There's value in not being good till August. You don't just get to punt guys out of your rotation and say, no, it won't be a problem because he'll get it fixed. There's a potential that it's not. It's Tommy John surgery. This is major. So, yeah, Sandy Alcantara eventually did figure it out, but the only reason he wasn't traded, guys, if he was as the level that he was at before the injury, he would have flown off the market. That's the level of this arm. And was he Garrett Cole? No, absolutely not. But there's no guarantee someone coming back from Tommy John, they could be great, but it could take him a year and a half. And by the way, how old is Garrett Cole?
35.
He's 35 years old. It's a factor.
I'm not sitting there like, the 35-year-old coming off Tommy John, that sounds like a disaster.
Yes.
So, yeah, I do think Cole is going to come back, but I think you're going to be looking at a high 3 ERA, close to low 4. That is what I see. But here's the deal. If Cole comes back and looks anything like Ace Cole, you have the best rotation in the big leagues. And I don't even know who your 5 is. I just know your 4 with Schlittler, Rodon, Fried, and Cole. Nobody is touching that.
Yeah, at that point, you have to start getting creative of how to get your bullpen situated. And also position player-wise, you need to figure out who's staying, who's going. Bellinger, right? Yeah. Grisham, who's walking, who's staying. Where Spencer Jones going to be? Is Dominguez here? Is he not? Is he traded? What are you doing? Are you going Joe Ryan? Are you souping up the rotation? Who knows what the Yankees do? All we know is that Max Fried hitting in this rotation, Carlos Rodon, and I'm going to call it hitting in this rotation because this is the best Carlos Rodon's looked over the long haul, over the span of 5 months. We've never seen Carlos Rodon pitch in pinstripes, which, by the way, this, in my opinion, is the best he's ever pitched in his big league career. Here's the reason I say that. He's never pitched important baseball games. Never.
100%.
This is much more difficult to do because you get it punched in the mouth in New York. What are you going to do to respond? You don't get punched in the mouth as a member of the Chicago White Sox. When was the last time they played an important baseball game? And that's with all due respect. It is more difficult to perform for contenders. I know people talk about, you've got an offense behind you now in Los Angeles or playing with the Mets or playing with the Yankees, playing with all these teams that people have expectations. No, you have to win or you suck or it's unacceptable. It's difficult, man, to perform in these circumstances. And I'm proud of what Carlos Rodon's done. I wouldn't have guessed that this would have happened, but it certainly has. And maybe him falling on his ass and then getting up is part of the reason why some of these rookies gravitate towards him.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. And I think he's done a lot of growing up in the Bronx, despite the fact they got him at, age 28, 29? I mean, it's not like he was super young, but you could see there was a little immaturity there, even despite the fact he was a veteran. But Marion is bringing back this This is a sore subject. I wanted Edward Cabrera, I don't know. People want to win the Powerball. I wanted him so bad, and
I don't know. I wanted to win that thing pretty damn badly. Wouldn't have been able to afford the Yankees, which is a bummer. But can you imagine, Jake, if we could buy the Yankees? They probably wouldn't even sell them to us.
That would be the funniest Yankees alone ever. So we own them now. What? Oh yeah, like Gary won the Powerball and bought the Yankees.
It would be the greatest thing ever.
Like, how do you even? I don't know. It's like one of those Mr. Beast titles. Like, we bought the New York Yankees.
I would keep the lights on. Here's what would happen. I would keep Yankee Stadium lights on, and I would just sit at home plate, and that'd be my backdrop.
Yankee Stadium. My God. Oh, yeah.
With the lights on. I'd be like, waste the money. We don't give a damn.
Yeah.
We're running the pod 2 hours. Let's go.
The pod at home plate every night after the game.
Oh, it'd be great. It'd be so much fun.
They would not even know, or they're like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah, in Apex, that is absolutely true. I would definitely sign Kyle Tucker. I don't care what anybody says. I get it. I understand it. I get the young player thing. I enjoy the prospects, all that. Yeah, I'm bringing some real talent into the building.
Would you pay Cam Schlittler?
Cam Schlittler? I mean, he's practically free right now. I think we're going to go into arbitration with him probably 3 years down the road, but that's not a worry. If he continues to progress or even stays at this level, I mean, guys, if he stays at this level, that is a top flight pitcher. You talked about it the other day. You're like, these young guys don't really give any credit. I think part of that is you kind of have a flash in the pan and people just perceive it as, you'll regress back to, right? Like Luis Gil, you'll regress. And then we didn't even trust him to pitch in October. I think that's Severino, what we saw from him in New York. It's like, yeah, you're here now, but you got to be here for 2 or 3 years before we give you your due. And that's why I love vet players, but you got to have a mix of young talent as well. So we'll see. Yeah, but I will never be able to afford the Yankees. There's no amount of super chats or any type of podcasting that you're going to do to make $10 billion. But I think $10 billion would afford me the Cowboys. But yeah, whatever it would take us, $7 billion?
Yeah.
I don't see it in the cards. I'm 31 now. I better open an app or some type of business. Who knows?
Hey, you never know.
Never know.
We move on to voicemails. We have Guy posted this at 5:40. So, well, I don't even need to tell you guys. You know, Guy is hitting us with the predictions.
Well, hello, everyone. Laying back with my feet up on the chair and got a cigar.
Nice.
Hoping to come up with something wild for you here. With a playoff atmosphere, these games are a lot more exciting to have fun with. Out of the gauntlet, the Yankees haven't swept anybody yet, and I'm not sure we'll see it happen today either. I did pick the Yankees to win 7, lose 5, though I was thinking they would beat Detroit and lose 2 out of 3 to the Sox. It really hurts me today to go against the Yankees, so I won't.
No.
The Yankees clearly have the momentum
so
here,
close.
and all the pressure is on the Red Sox. And this is the biggest game of Crochet's career, as he's never pitched in a playoff game. This is a playoff game for the Red Sox, and the Yankees will crack his shell just a little today. Texas lost in extras, so they're only 2 games back of the Sox. The game plan for Crochet is he won't offer us many free passes, so the Yankees need to be aggressive and swing. A big key is we can't be waving at outside pitches outside the strike zone. Make them beat you. And if we can do all that, I think we can get him out before the 7th inning, too. I can see us scoring at least 3 runs off of him. On the Warren side,
scored 3
his
runs off.
adrenaline will be flowing, and we could really see a good fastball today. That's what I'm looking for. He should be on his game plan only and nothing else. I see Warren giving us at least 5 innings today. On the offense, Cabby's energy is just infectious. He's not an all-star, but he's a huge disruptor in the way that he can affect both opposing pitchers and catchers with his speed and tenacity. He is the spark of the Yankees and just what they needed. I don't think the Yankees could have put together a better lineup today, honestly.
I
It
agree.
looks so different without Volpe and McMahon in it. Our Yankees, of course, are dialed in right now, and I look for Bellinger and Cabby to continue hitting. We also need Slater to lead the way, and I'm hoping Rosario can contribute too. If there's a home run today, I see it being none other than the MVP Aaron James Judge, with an outside possibility of Bellinger. Weaver, if needed, is the closer today. We probably will see Duvall and probably Tim Hill. If Warren fails, we'll see Yarborough early, but we're not thinking about Warren failing. Final prediction, we saw that all too familiar face on Chapman last night. The Yankees will score off him again. The Yankees win 5-4 and sweep. Go Yankees!
Wow. Yeah, well,
That hurt.
it was close.
That was fun though. It's a roller coaster. Every time we're listening to him, like, oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, he really waterboarded me there. If I had to guess where he was going with it, I was like, oh, I actually tracked this. And I'm sitting there thinking he's choosing Boston, but I should have known. But anywho, the fact that he predicted Doval, he's the first guy out of the pen. He did say Warren was going to give us 5. He did. But nowhere did we get a prediction as to how the first inning of Road Warren would be. And that's what killed us today. It did. It's part of the game. And he did mention there, that was the thing that stuck out to me. You got to stay in the zone and make Crochet beat you. We struck out 16 times today. 1 walk. It's not going to win a baseball game. I get it. Maybe you can scratch and claw your way back into a game. Judge can hit his 48th. Rosario, he asked for contribution. You got it. He hit a home run in the 4th. So you're going to have to not chase pitches outside the zone. Yeah, 16 Ks and 1 walk's not going to do it. So I'm sorry, guy.
No, it's not. But Ben Rice, the idea he can't hit lefties, can we put that to bed now?
Yeah, you probably should just play.
Yeah.
But
it is funny
more
that
than likely,
when he's going up against a lefty, Boone is like telling us, I think he's dog shit, and he bats him 9th for that reason. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he does. And I understand what the premise is. I get
think
it.
It's kind of ridiculous, but I also do understand it. It's just a little funny to me. But Ed W is next up here.
Let it fly, Ed.
Well, sitting here watching a 5-0 game, of course, this is at W, and the first inning's not over. I just hope that this lineup that ChatGPT made for the Yankees with Austin Slater leading off and then Rice hitting first and whatever else it is can actually handle a 5-0 deficit. I don't know, maybe Aaron Boone punted the game and doesn't care, but this should be interesting. Let's go Yankees.
Well, I for one believe that if Will Warren gave up less than 4 runs in the first inning, the Yankees win this game.
Gave up 6.
I know. If he gave up less than 4, they would have won.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
4 or less. Like, I think even if he gives up 4 runs, I think they find a way to win.
No, I definitely track what you're saying. And that is not good. To give up 4 in the first, I mean, it pretty much cements the crowd into the game.
But I think they were there today.
Yeah, the Yankees go out and score 2 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 7th. Aaron Judge, again, raked the whole Boston series the entire time. So for those of you who said Aaron Judge needs to be better in the clutch, in big games, here you go. He was 2 for 3, 2 for 4, 3 for 4 every single day. That's what you got to do. So thank you to Aaron Judge. It wasn't enough today. Will Warren made sure of that. So appreciate you, Ed.
It might not matter because it might be the end of the world since the Mets just walked off today. They finally won a game. I think they had lost like 10 straight, something like that.
I think it was like, something like that. Pretty close.
Yeah. Polar Pete hit a walk-off home run against the Rangers.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, he took his helmet off right away.
Yeah, I was wondering, because I saw it earlier, and I was like, dude, you guys have lost 10 straight. What are you doing, like, showboating like that? And I was like, oh, it was a walk-off home run. Okay. I thought he would did that for a regular home run. I was like, all right.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's frustrated.
Yeah, I get it.
There's been murmurs of people wanting him gone off the team because he will be a free agent this offseason. So I guess we'll see. But no one really cares about the Mets. Not
That's
here.
True. Nope. All right. With 3 more. Kyle Malay.
Hey guys. Well, second inning, 6-0 Red Sox. Excuse my language one more time, but fuck this game. I'm not even watching the rest. If they come back, well, maybe I'll see it on my phone, but yeah, this game is already a shit show. But yeah, if they come back, I'll probably leave another voicemail. Just don't play this one, but I doubt that I am not going to watch the rest of this game because I'm not going to put myself in misery. If I see that they're coming back on my phone, then I'll probably turn it back on. But yeah, let's all have a good night, and let's just look forward to tomorrow. All right, have a good night.
Appreciate it, Kyle.
He's it's so funny. He's so wholesome even when he's pissed off. You could just tell he's just trying to be wholesome. He's trying to be in those positive vibes.
Which I respect.
I gotta love it. All right, Ninja Hot Dog.
What up? Ninja here. Still a bit sick, but I do see that we won today. I wasn't able to watch. However, I do see that we did end up winning. Crochet was difficult, but we got 3 hits off of him. Lost 4-6. However, we did do better than them in 8 out of the 9 innings of the game. So overall, I would call it a quality loss. I hate using that term, especially as someone
I'm gonna pause it. I'm not the only one that heard. So we
I was
won
under the
today,
impression
right?
that he didn't know the score of the game. Maybe he meant if you started the baseball game in the 2nd inning, the Yankees dominated today. 4-0 win.
It's true. But then he's like, oh yeah, they lost 6-4. So I don't. He's sick and half his brain is gone. I don't know what else to say. No, I'm messing with you, Ninja Hot Dog. All right, here we go.
Let it fly.
for FSU, and we got snubbed from the playoffs because they decided that Alabama's loss was a quality loss. However, that's a completely different tangent. We ended
Agreed
up
with it, by the way.
losing. However, it could have been worse. We can't rely on Will Warren. However, he's got potential. He did go, let me see, 5 innings and what scoreless before those. So he does have potential. I hope he is a good postseason use, I would argue. You have to be careful with him. You have to be ready to pull him at any moment. But overall, I would say that we do have potential today. We've shown today we have potential. I like that we're finally using Caballero more as a shortstop. Even though they have around the same hitting statistics. Finally, I am watching games where the ball gets hit to shortstop, and I don't have to worry about whether or not the play gets made. And I'm so grateful for that. This is the first time that that's been the case. This year, or I guess in April, since before the injury. But we got to stick with Caballero moving on. He's very reliable. He's a good force to have. I like what we have going. I am still a skeptic on the postseason. However, the Yankees proved they were able to fight through 3 games and against Boston, so I am happy about that. So, go Yankees. And the next series should be easy, so let's get through it. Go Yankees.
What?
What? Hold on a second.
What?
What happened to Ninja here?
I
No
don't think,
fire baboon?
I think Ninja
Wow.
used AI to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And even AI wouldn't make that mistake.
Yeah,
So,
come on now.
So yeah, Ninja, you got to be better there, my guy. Now, we're obviously joking. No fire baboon is wild. I'm going to say this. One thing that stuck out with me from this voicemail was he mentioned Warren. He said you got to be ready to pull him at any moment. That is a problem, right? There's a difference between having talent and not being able to always, right, bring it out to the surface. You saw the talent innings 2 through 5, and that's good. It's part of the reason we're so positive about Will Warren on this podcast. But I don't know if I want to toss the baseball to anybody in an important game where I'm like, he's really talented, but you just got to be ready to pull him at any moment. Well, if that's the case, that's a loss in October. If you're pullable immediately or at any moment, Jake, that's a nightmare. That's where Ryan Yarbrough has to be burnt for an entire day's worth of work. Not necessarily something I want to see.
Yeah, No, I get that. I'm still just kind of shook up that
I'm actually shook up. I do see people in the comments. So obviously there are people who don't get the bit, but Wave, who's in the comments, we don't actually think at this juncture he should be fired. It's a joke that was the joke basically 3 months ago, and it's just part of it. Part of the voicemail, no matter what we do, it's Fire Baboon at the end. So just filling you in, so obviously welcome into the pod.
They can win 18-0, and Ninja Hot Dog's going to say Fire Baboon at the end, but they lose, and he doesn't say it. I was shocked. And then he went on a tangent about SEC, and man, yeah, I think it was AI today, Ninja. That's what I think.
Yep.
I think he used the old
and
chat
Martin,
GPT.
If you don't want any negativity, you can just scroll like 30 minutes ago or even 15 minutes ago, and we went on a tangent about Carlos Rodon, Freed, and even what Will Warren potentially could be long-term. So there you have it. There's positive, there's negative. We won the series against Boston. That's the most important thing. The Jays haven't given us any help, but we need it here very soon. Jake, who's our next voicemail?
So the final voicemail is Chris99.
What's going on, guys? Yankees lose, but we win the series. Win the series 2-1, and that's the conclusion of the 4-game gauntlet that we had, and we finished 7-5, I believe. So a lot better than what people anticipated it to be, and I feel like the team's gotten a lot better during this stretch, and there's been a lot of storylines that can be told going into the postseason now, especially considering we might not win the division, not because of how poorly we played, but just Toronto is just a good team overall. But you had to win the series, and they did. Boston had their number all season, and the Yankees win when it matters most, and that's what's most important. You had Freed. He was doing ace stuff. Warren looked a little crazy, but I have my thoughts on him. And then I forgot. Oh, Luis Hill. Obviously, he had a no-hit big going 6 innings, so that was great. Judge is Judge, and Caballero this series was really good. I feel like this is the series the Yankees finally cave in, and they're like, okay, you know what, Cabby, you can start. Now that the Volpe injury's kind of been public and fans know what's going on, like I feel like it kind of forces their hand, but who knows with this team, you never know. A little more on Warren. Him starting in the postseason, especially with him being a back-end rotation guy, meaning he'd probably start on the road, kind of scares me, which leads me to believe I feel like you should use him as a longer reliever sort of role, especially in games at home because he is better at Yankee Stadium than he is on the road. So maybe that's a certain change that we need to make as well. As far as bullpen goes, we have the talent. They just have to perform. They have to perform. I know Fernando Cruz got kind of let up the series, but
yeah,
I still believe in the stuff as well. So overall, good series. This team looks a lot better. We obviously have a stretch against Baltimore, Minnesota. The division's not completely out of hand, but it kind of feels like it is. But we'll see. And I feel like this team looks postseason ready. And time to go finish it out. And let's go Yankees.
Jake, first of all, Chris99, thank you for the voicemail. Jake, you know what really just stuck out to me, and I think it's really going to be glossed over because we lost the finale of this series. A lot of us predicted we would lose this game. We lost it. There's no reason to shed any tears now. But having said that, people they're kind of glossing over the fact that 99 is 99 right now. And the narrative of the Yankees was that Aaron Judge is going to put up monstrous numbers in May, June, July, like even during the swoon. He'll hit during that time, right? And he's going to pile up meaningless stats, as they call them. And I like to say, when you start seeing people's breath, his performance goes down the drain. Well, the Yankees are in the most important time of the season. There's 13 games left in the season. You walk into Houston, right? You go back to the stadium against Detroit. You go to Boston at Fenway, and we're saying, all right, well, what's Judge going to do against Crochet, Bello? Matchups that really have had his number long term. Aaron Judge's last 15 games is hitting .353. His on base is over 500. He's hit 11 homers his last 30 games. Aaron Judge is now Aaron Judge when we need him to be. So if any of you thought, and maybe you didn't, that the Yankees, do they have a chance to win a World Series? Do they not? Jake, you think they do. I'm on the fence. They're just going to have to prove it to me. I'm not even going to make a prediction.
Yeah.
This team has zero chance in the world if 99 doesn't look like 99. That's part of a team. There are your best players, there are really good players, and then there are role players. Everyone's got them to different degrees. But the one thing that's for certain, you cannot go through a postseason run if your best player looks like a role player. And that's what Aaron Judge was in the 2024 postseason. Not all the time. We saw the at-bat against Clase. We've talked about all that. But he's got to be judged in the most important time of the year. He is right now. So, Jake, your prediction was that the Yankees were going to set it off these last 13 games. Only way that happens, even against bad teams, Judge needs to just pile up numbers. Destroy these teams. Destroy them. And if they're not going to pitch to you, take first base. The next guy will. That's how you have to beat them. Don't chase pitches. Don't try and do too much. It's something you've also mentioned, Jake. He starts chasing pitches, going outside the zone. No player in the history of baseball, other than Vladimir Guerrero and probably Ichiro, are good enough to just consistently go outside the zone and be a good baseball player. It just doesn't happen. Judge is now back inside the strike zone. He's back to being himself. So I think this in itself, by the way, I do see a cheeky monkey. I'll throw you up on screen. It says Cody is always the difference. Those two players being difference makers and playing their best baseball at the most important time of the year could be the difference between us going through a weak AL and finding our way back in the World Series, as ridiculous as that may sound, the way we looked in June and July.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring it up right now. This is Aaron Judge, not including today, right?
Yes.
But going into today, he's hitting 333 with a 500 on base percentage, a 667 slugging, and 1100 OPS. I mean,
this is cementing his MVP, which is good for him. It'll go on his plaque. We're rooting for that. And Cal Raleigh, again, having a great season. We've tried talking about it. We've tried giving him his credit. This is a better season. But what's going to be important is how you finish the year. How valuable. It says most valuable, not best stats. This is value. Be your best when the team has to win games. It's who he is right now. So credit to Aaron Judge. And this has to continue. The book isn't complete. We'll see.
Yeah, this cracks me up. The 2,400 OPS. I don't think I've ever even seen that high. Albeit it was only 3 games in that series, but that's insane. Even his worst month, Gary.
Yeah,
he's had an over 900 OPS in every single month. I mean, he is the MVP. He just is.
This, by the way, so this chat from one of our members in Chris99, who's obviously a diamond level. I'm throwing this up on screen because it's just too good to ignore.
Yeah.
Chris says, do you guys think a wild card without a week off would benefit Judge in the postseason play, especially if he's hot? Yes.
I do
absolutely.
Too.
These are factors that everyone, they're going to have to answer questions about it. Guys, if the Yankees run down Toronto, they win their division, and this is a huge if. A lot has to happen. Let's be real. They win the division. They're going to be sitting there, right? And ice cold, if you will, right? Good problem to have because our bullpen will be resting. Guys like Bednar who may be working multi-inning. They don't have to throw and strain themselves through a tough wild card series. Those are certainly the pros, but there are some cons that come with it. There just are. And it is sitting around and potentially giving away maybe a game one, maybe not hitting the ground running offensively or carrying your momentum into the postseason. Could it? I mean, we've seen it before. Some teams have buys and all of a sudden they'll go out there and they pick up right where they left off. But to this point of this actual comment, it's possible that we may just be the hottest team walking into October from the AL, and maybe it's what was needed to get Judge going, was to go through this grind of an actual postseason rather than in comfort. So, Chris, I'm glad you brought it up. It is interesting. I'm not sure what the result's going to be, but I think it could help. Maybe.
Yeah, I saw Ed W asking, can Judge rake to the Triple Crown next 13 games? I don't think so. I think he can make it close, but he's going to need some crazy stuff to go his way because right now he's got the batting average. And by the way, with Chris, I totally agree. If they don't get... See, I think the Yankees are going to be fine no matter what. If they win the AL East, they'll be fine. If they go to the wild card, they'll be fine. Talent is just going to prevail. And more often than not, baseball's decided based on how hot you are at the end of the year. Dodgers
I don't mind
were
that.
scorching. So that's the thing, right? Aaron Judge hits 326. Jacob Wilson is hitting 318. He's got average lockdown, right?
Yes.
AKA the batting title.
And
He's
where's
got the-
Cal Rowley in terms of home runs? I don't think that's reachable, really.
That's where he would need to have more home runs, more than half of those games, a home run, right? Because think about this. Raleigh has 54 right now with 13 games left. Judge
He's bound to
has
hit
48.
one or two, maybe.
That's
Right.
the thing. Judge has to literally hit 7 to pass him, and Raleigh wouldn't be able to hit another home run. And is 7 possible in 13 games? Yes. But it's needing you to do a little bit more. I don't see it as being reachable. I don't think he gets the Triple Crown this year, unfortunately. As far as RBIs, Raleigh is at 115, Judge is at 102. So I don't see
No.
it. He missed too many games. It's going to be a valiant effort. He's just not going to get there. It's just not. And you know what? It is what it is. Judge was, before the injury, Judge still had the most hits in the league. By
It's
far.
just a great season. That's MVP. I think we're on to bigger things.
Yeah.
I don't really care about, and I care about the question, but do I really need to see a Triple Crown? No, I saw Miguel Cabrera do that. I bet you Miguel Cabrera would turn in that Triple Crown tomorrow for that 2013-2014 Detroit Tigers team to win a title. 2012. He'd probably want to win a championship, right? It's very difficult to win in this league. It doesn't just take one player. And Aaron Judge knows, if I'm going to cement myself, and he's already one of the game's all-time greats. He already understands that. He won't tell you that because you know how he goes about his business. But we'll talk for him. He's one of the all-time great Yankees, already in his own right. He could stop playing today. He's already in that room. But in order to go upper echelon, he's got to win and be a major part of that. So I get it. I understand it. We want to look at the stats. Baseball is like that, where we do pay attention to these numbers. But Aaron Judge needs to pile up the stats in October. That's what we need to see. And that's what I'm waiting for. I know our chat's going to be locked and loaded. Game 1, I don't care if we're in a wild card or not. It's going to be electric in here. And Martin Kim, thank you for the 2, my man, and says, you guys are awesome. Watching from Korea. Isn't that crazy, Jake?
Yeah, that is. Appreciate
Welcome
you,
in.
Martin.
Korea. It's crazy. It's actually really funny because just to hear that there are any fans outside of really New York and maybe Florida, it's insane to hear that. I mean, we saw London. I mean, who else? We saw the UK. It's like pretty insane to start a podcast and you've got people listening in
And
from
Alex
all over the world.
is, just got home from going to 2 concerts in the city. What concert?
Sounds like you.
Yeah, now I'm curious.
You know, the one bright side to being from Korea, major bright side, is that these Yankees Unloaded shows are probably not so late. I'd be
That's true.
curious to know what time, because there are time zones. We run a late show. We just do. And obviously, as our show gets bigger and this becomes like really our full-time main job, and it's able to be that, then you guys are going to start seeing shows much closer to the end of the game.
They're
And that's
13
what we look
hours
forward
ahead of
to.
us.
13 hours. So what time is that?
1:25 p.m. Oh, my bad. 13 hours ahead of me. 1:25 p.m. Would be like my time. So for you, it would be 10:25 or 11:25.
Okay. So a much better time than what most people have to deal with. And William G, thank you for the 5, my man, says Jay's magic number is 4, and we score the bulk of our runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning We are already waiting for your bullpen in Toronto. Appreciate it. First and foremost, thank you for the super chat and supporting our show. But first and foremost, I want to actually really get out front of this. I've been complimentary, and so is Jake, about the style that Toronto plays. They put the ball in play. They actually give a rip about batting average, believe it or not, and mainly with runners in scoring position. It's no surprise that they perform at a much higher clip with runners in scoring position, 2 outs, those grinded out at bats. You saw them with Kirk, right? You saw it with Springer. You see it from a lot of different guys in Bichette, and hopefully he's ready to go and healthy. But the gist of it is that all these teams skin the cat a different way. They do. The Yankees tend to do it very similar to how Minnesota was doing in 2018. We're trying to leave the yard. But Toronto is very formidable in the 7th through the 9th. And where the Yankees, right now, in the games that they're losing, they're either struggling in the first inning or inning 7 through 9 because our bullpen has been somewhat of a weakness. It's something the Yankees are going to have to overcome if they run into Toronto. But that's just how matchups go. No reason to run from it. No reason to hide. Acknowledge it. You need to play better baseball innings 1 through 6 if you're going to have a chance, and we'll see what the Yankees do then.
So, yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up. Comment section. Tomorrow, they got the Twins. Aaron Judge MVP. I feel like we've done that before.
Yeah, nah. How about this? Guns to your head now. Where do the Yankees finish? How close do they get? Are they a wild card home field advantage, which is still quality, not what we wanted? Or does Toronto falter and they give up that lead? They have a much stronger, their strength of schedule. It's much more difficult. They have to play Boston, right? And we saw that today. And they've got some really good arms in the rotation. There should be blood on both sides. What do you see from the Yankees as far as their finishing place exactly? Drop that in the comment section. If you have not subscribed to Yankees Unloaded, please drop that in. Right? Please make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure, Jake, I know your favorite part, make sure you like the video.
Like it.